The wind stopped, the flames stilled, and in that frozen moment a single question echoed in every soul. Was this madness or salvation? If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. Creating a Dodi. The moment those words left Ju Kun's mouth, the very air seemed to congeal. Invisible pressure pressed down upon the space as though the heavens themselves had paused in disbelief. The sound of wind vanished, the flickering flames stilled, and even the flow of time appeared to slow to a crawl. For a brief instant, Gu Yuan could only gape. His pupils contracted sharply as he stared at Ju Kun, his mind turning completely blank. Thoughts that normally moved with lightning speed came to a dead halt, as if frozen by those two impossible words. Creating a Dodi. The atmosphere remained locked in silence for a long time. No one spoke. No one dared to breathe too loudly. It was only after that suffocating stillness that the air slowly began to loosen, allowing everyone to recover from the momentary shock, like drowning men finally breaking the surface. Yet even as their minds restarted, a sense of absurdity surged within them. Creating a Dodi, these words alone sounded like madness. Even if they had been spoken by Ju Kun, an existence who had lived since ancient times, they still felt unreal, like a myth told in a delirious dream. For tens of thousands of years, the Doqi continent had failed to give birth to even a single true Dodi. Countless geniuses, innumerable peak experts, and endless ancient clans had exhausted their bloodlines, legacies and lifetimes, yet none had managed to cross that final threshold. That alone was enough to prove just how distant, how unreachable that legendary realm truly was. You're joking, right? Yanjin finally broke the silence. His mouth hung open slightly, and his voice turned hoarse without him realizing it. Though his words were filled with disbelief, a faint, uncontrollable spark of hope still ignited deep within his heart, born not of reason, but desperation. The alliance had already been pushed to the edge of a cliff. Once Hun Tiandi stepped into the Dodi realm, all resistance would become meaningless. That was no longer a level human strength could oppose. It was the boundary between mortals and gods. But if Ju Kun's words were true, then perhaps, just perhaps, this seemingly sealed fate could still be shattered. Elder Ju Kun Xiaoyan spoke after a brief pause, his voice calm yet heavy as he carefully chose his words now. Is not the time for jokes. If Ju Kun truly possessed a method to create a Dodi, he would not have remained trapped at his current level for so many years. That single fact alone made the claim difficult to accept. Gu Yuan said nothing. He merely stared at Ju Kun, his gaze sharp and unwavering, as though attempting to peer straight through him, seeking not reassurance but truth. His silence carried far more weight than words, for within it lay both doubt and a desperate longing for hope. At this moment, the fate of the entire Doqi continent seemed to hang upon Ju Kun's next explanation. Seeing the doubt in everyone's expressions, Ju Kun finally parted his lips and spoke. You can all rest assured, I have no interest in joking with you at a time like this. The fact that our side might also produce a Dodi truly is a blessing bestowed by the heavens. Gu Yuan's hand trembled slightly. Can you explain more clearly? Ju Kun slowly lifted his head, his gaze drifting toward the heavenly flame square he had brought out of the ancient god mansion. After a long silence, he finally spoke. In truth, the Dai-tier embryonic pill is not the most precious item within the ancient god mansion. Xiaoyan's heart stirred. Falling into thought, he raised his finger and pointed toward the massive heavenly flame square floating in the sky. Elder Ju Kun, are you referring to that? Otherwise, Ju Kun rolled his eyes. Do you think I'd waste so much effort dragging out something this massive just for fun? With a wave of his sleeve, space rippled violently. The scene before their eyes blurred, and when their vision cleared, they were already standing atop the vast heavenly flame square. Xiaoyan's gaze swept across the towering heavenly flame pillars surrounding the platform, yet he sensed no unusual energy fluctuations. His eyes wandered until they finally settled upon the stone statue that stood 100,000 feet tall. What exactly is strange about this? Lei Ying frowned, unable to see anything unusual even after observing for some time. Ju Kun clasped his hands behind his back and lifted his head, staring at the mountain-like statue. Do you know the origin of the Toshe ancient god? He asked slowly. Or rather, his true identity. Everyone was startled. They exchanged glances before quietly shaking their heads. The Toshe ancient god belonged to an era far removed from theirs. They had only seen his name recorded in ancient texts, knowing nothing of his origins or background. According to what I know, Gu Yuan spoke with a thoughtful expression. The Toshi ancient god was extremely mysterious. No one knew where he came from. In that era, countless experts stood at the peak of the continent, striving desperately to break through to the Dodi realm, yet all of them failed. But then Gu Yuan continued. A completely unknown Toshi ancient god suddenly appeared. It was said, he recalled slowly, that when he advanced into the Dodi realm, two suns appeared in the sky. The world crumbled, and an endless sea of fire descended from the heavens, engulfing half of the Dochi continent and shocking all experts of that era. However, Gu Yuan's voice deepened after that earth-shattering breakthrough. The Toshi ancient god vanished once again. By common sense, he went on. Those of his bloodline should have been awakened, their strength surging to terrifying heights in a short time. Especially those of the first-generation Do-Di bloodline, they should have received the greatest benefits. If a new ancient clan had emerged, the entire Dochi continent would have been thrown into upheaval. Yet, nothing of the sort happened. In other words, Xiaoyan frowned. The Toshi ancient god didn't have many clan members. Perhaps none at all who shared his bloodline. Bloodline continuation was of utmost importance on the Dochi continent, especially to peak experts. Yet the Tosha ancient god had seemingly stood alone. That seems to be the case, Gu Yuan nodded. Although we can't rule out the possibility that they simply went undiscovered. Jukun nodded lightly. That's mostly correct. Then suddenly changing the topic, he asked, there are 33 heavenly flames listed on the heavenly flame ranking. They are the strongest flames in this world. But do you know what is the heavenly flame ranked first? Xiaoyan's heart trembled. Even he, someone deeply knowledgeable about heavenly flames, knew nothing of the flame ranked first, because it had no name. Though the heavenly flame ranking listed 23 known flames, the first position remained completely blank. No one had ever seen it. No one even knew what it was. Yet many alchemists instinctively sensed that something did exist beyond the nihility-devouring flame. That first-ranked heavenly flame, Xiaoyan asked involuntarily, do you know what it is? Jukun smiled strangely. There is no so-called first-ranked heavenly flame, he said calmly. Everyone froze. All living beings possess souls, Jukun continued slowly. The same is true for heavenly flames. According to what I know, there was once a heavenly flame born in this world. It took 1,000 years to form, 10,000 years to gain intelligence, and then cultivated for an unfathomably long time. This caused it to mutate. Normally mutated heavenly flames rarely leave their place of birth. But this one was different. After awakening intelligence, it descended into magma depths, roaming the underground for thousands of years, devouring flames to survive. The flames it devoured, Jukun said softly, were all heavenly flames. All 21 of them. Xiaoyan sucked in a sharp breath of cold air. Swallowing 20 heavenly flames. What kind of concept was that? Devouring energy. Isn't that something only the nihility-devouring flame can do? Xiaoyan asked hesitantly. Heavenly flames are like nations, Jukun sighed. Even nobles can fall. Devouring one another is instinct. But usually the strong devour the weak. This flame was unique. It knew how to grow rapidly while avoiding destruction, starting with the weakest. After an incomprehensibly long time, even overlords like the nihility-devouring flame and the purifying demonic flame could only submit before it. Xiaoyan's scalp tingled. Even finding heavenly flames was nearly impossible, yet this flame devoured 21 of them. If it were a human, Xiaoyan murmured, who would dare swallow 20 violent heavenly flames? Even he couldn't. So Xiaoyan suddenly realized the so-called first-ranked heavenly flame doesn't have a name. Rather, whoever survives the devouring of the other 21 flames becomes the true pinnacle. That's correct, Jukun nodded. But the process is almost guaranteed to end in self-destruction. Only by surviving the fusion of all 21 heavenly flames does one qualify as the true number one. Xiaoyan nodded slowly. Using the flame mantra was already dangerous enough, yet this flame had done so by pure instinct. It was a miracle. The secret behind the first-ranked heavenly flame. So that's how it is. The crowd sighed. After succeeding, Jukun continued, eyes growing complex. That flame named itself the flame god. After cultivating for thousands of years, it appeared in the world. Later, Jukun took a deep breath. Staring at the colossal statue before them, it gained another name. His words struck like thunder. At that time, the world called him The Toshi Ancient God. The Tosha Ancient God is the heavenly flame ranked first on the heavenly flame ranking. The heavenly flame square fell into complete silence once more. Everyone wore expressions that could only be described as peculiar, shock, disbelief, awe and confusion intertwining. Clearly this piece of information was so absurd that their minds could not immediately recover. Ju-kun was well aware of the turmoil in their hearts. He did not speak, merely lifting his head to gaze at the massive stone statue. A complicated expression flickered across his face. No one could have imagined that the last true Du-Di of the Do-Chi continent was neither human nor magical beast, but a flame born of heaven and earth. Gulp. The sound of someone swallowing hard broke the silence. The others gradually snapped back to their senses, exchanging glances filled with disbelief. "Brother Ju-kun, is what you said truly real?" Gu Yuan asked, his usual composure shaken. He took several deep breaths before speaking. "If we go by age," Ju-kun laughed lightly, "all of you are from my grandson's generation. Who else on this continent would know these ancient secrets better than me?" Everyone could only laugh bitterly. Ju-kun had no reason to deceive them. After the initial shock faded, they were forced to slowly accept this unfathomable truth. Still, Gu Yuan said, refocusing quickly, "How does this relate to creating a Do-Di, as you mentioned earlier?" No matter the origin of the Toshi Ancient God, the most urgent matter was still Hun Tiandi. "There are two most precious things within the ancient God mansion," Ju-kun said slowly. "The first is the Dai-tier embryonic pill that Hun Tiandi seized. The second—" He paused deliberately, his gaze locking onto the colossal stone statue before them, "is the Dai essence left behind by the Toshi Ancient God." "The essence?" Everyone's hearts trembled as they repeated the words. "It can be considered the inheritance of the Toshi Ancient God," Ju-kun continued. "This is the most valuable treasure in the ancient God mansion. Compared to it, even the Dai-tier embryonic pill falls short." He laughed softly. "If we can obtain this Dai essence, then we too can create a Do-Di. At that point, even if Hun Tiandi successfully breaks through using the Dai-tier pill, so what?" The eyes of everyone present lit up instantly. At the brink of despair, a path forward had suddenly appeared. "Where is the Dai essence?" Gu Yuan asked, excitement flashing across his face. He quickly added, "Brother Ju-kun, please don't misunderstand. Without you, we would never have known about this. The one most qualified to obtain this inheritance is undoubtedly you. Our goal is only to fight the Hun clan. We have no intention of competing for it." He knew very well that if Ju-kun spoke the truth, the Dai essence was an unrivaled treasure, something every being on the continent would covet. "There's no need for such words," Ju-kun replied with a bitter smile. "If I could obtain it, I wouldn't be standing here discussing it with you. I would have already refined and absorbed it long ago. How could the Toshi Ancient God's inheritance be obtained so easily?" He sighed. "I've exhausted every method over these years and gained nothing." Gu Yuan was stunned. After a moment he asked, "Then, where is the de-essence?" Ju-kun walked toward the statue and patted it lightly. "Inside," he said, "but no one can enter it. Even if the two of us attack together at full strength, we won't be able to break this statue." Everyone gathered around the ancient god statue. They touched it carefully. It felt coarse and ordinary, no different from common stone. Bang! Lei Ying suddenly struck the statue with a fierce punch. A loud explosion echoed, but the next instant, his body was sent flying backward thousands of feet before he barely stabilized himself. This really is strange. All doubts vanished. Lei Ying's punch could shatter mountains, yet the statue remained completely unharmed. Instead, Lei Ying himself was blown away, an unmistakable sign of something extraordinary. "This statue is protected by the Dai essence Gu Yuan," said, eyes widening in realization. "No wonder we failed to notice anything back at the ancient god mansion." Ju-kun nodded helplessly. "The Dai essence is sealed within it, but we can't break the shell." "There must be a special method," Gu Yuan frowned. Perhaps Ju-kun mused, "and the Dai essence isn't something just anyone can absorb. A single mistake could result in backlash. Since the Tosha ancient god was a heavenly flame, someone closely connected to heavenly flames would likely face less rejection." At those words, all eyes turned instinctively toward Xiaoyan. In terms of affinity with heavenly flames, no one present could compare to him. "Xiaoyan is indeed the most suitable." Gu Yuan nodded. "His purifying demonic lotus flame has already formed a fire spirit. His chances are the highest." Xiaoyan froze, then let out a bitter laugh. Let's first figure out how to take the dye essence out before discussing who absorbs it. Everyone chuckled lightly, then fell into deep thought. Yet no matter how they pondered, no solution emerged. To obtain the dye essence, they had to break the statue. But the statue was protected by the D-essence itself. Even Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun were helpless. A perfect deadlock. Xiao Yan also frowned in thought, gradually losing hope. When suddenly a pink flame sprout wiggled on his shoulder, Little Yi appeared. This time Little Yi was different. Its small face displayed rapidly shifting emotions as it stared at the statue, emotions far richer and heavier than before. Xiao Yan was startled. After learning the true identity of the Toshi ancient god, he understood this god had once devoured the purifying demonic lotus flame. Between them, there was an ancient grudge. "I can open the statue." Little Yi's soft voice rang out. All eyes snapped toward it instantly. Zhu Kun and Gu Yuan appeared beside Xiao Yan in a flash, staring intently at Little Yi. "Little Yi, are you all right?" Xiao Yan asked worriedly. "Yes." Little Yi nodded, its familiar innocent smile returning. Xiao Yan finally relaxed. "Then try. Don't force yourself." Little Yi nodded again. It floated upward, stopping at the statue's chest. Suddenly blazing, purifying demonic lotus flame erupted from its body, forming a brilliant pillar of fire that slammed into the statue's heart. Hum. The statue trembled violently as strange ripples spread outward. Everyone's faces lit up with joy. Hum. The trembling intensified. The colossal stone statue began to shake violently, as though something ancient and dormant deep within had finally been stirred awake. A low, grinding creak echoed through the air, heavy and ancient, like the groan of heaven and earth themselves being forced apart. Fine cracks slowly spread across the statue's chest. At first they were faint, thin as hairlines, yet with each passing breath they widened, crawling outward like living veins. Stone fragments fell away one by one, crashing onto the square below until finally a hole opened. From within a warm and gentle radiance spilled forth. It was not dazzling nor blinding. Instead, it flowed out softly like silk unfurling in the wind, carrying with it an indescribable majesty. The light washed over the heavenly flame square, enveloping everyone present as if an unseen will had descended upon them. Bang, bang, bang. The change was instantaneous. Lei Ying, Yen Jin, and the others turned deathly pale. Their legs buckled violently as if an invisible mountain had descended upon their shoulders. With dull, heavy sounds, they were forced to their knees, the ground beneath them cracking under the pressure. That thin, gentle light, it carried an overwhelming might. Not fury, not aggression, but absolute authority. Even Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun were unable to withstand it. Their bodies bent inch by inch, muscles trembling violently as veins bulged beneath their skin. Bone-creaking sounds echoed from within them, their faces flushing a deep crimson as they struggled to resist. Boom! At last even they could endure no longer. Both knees slammed heavily into the ground. Silence followed. Only Xiao Yan remained standing. He stood at the center of the square, flames of different heavenly origins quietly revolving around his body. Purifying demonic lotus flame, bone-chilling flame, fallen heart flame. Each flame pulsed faintly, as if resonating with the will emanating from the statue. Xiao Yan looked around in a daze. He could clearly see the strain, the suppression, the pain etched onto everyone else's faces, yet he felt none of it himself. The terrifying pressure that crushed even peak experts passed over him like a gentle breeze, as though it acknowledged him. Or rather, as though it had chosen him. This damned Toshi ancient god. Zhu Kun gritted his teeth, his voice hoarse with both frustration and awe. His body felt as though it were being pinned beneath an immovable mountain, unable to shift even slightly. Gu Yuan let out a bitter laugh, forcing himself to relax. Being suppressed by a true Do-Di, even across time, was no humiliation. The light continued to ripple softly before slowly withdrawing, retracting from Gu Yuan and the others. Like a tide receding, it gathered itself, condensing, converging, until it wrapped around Xiao Yan alone. A single pillar of destiny. The pressure vanished. Everyone slowly rose to their feet, staring at Xiao Yan with expressions filled with shock, disbelief, and something far deeper, recognition. Zhu Kun looked at him for a long moment, his expression exceedingly complicated. Envy, resignation, relief, all intertwined. "You lucky brat," he finally said with a sigh. "You truly are the most suitable." thousands of years of obsession, countless years of longing. Yet in the end, fate had chosen Xiaoyan. Gu Yuan stepped forward, his gaze solemn, heavy with trust and resolve. Xiaohan, his voice was low yet firm. It seems we can only rely on you now. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.